Sound check, 1, 2. Sound check, 1, 2. Okay, just waiting for some students to join up here before we begin with the class. Just going to do a mic and video check here. So we'll wait for some students to join on. Sound check, 1, 2. Sound check, 1, 2. Sound check, 1, 2. Okay, everyone, we're just about to start. Okay, good day, everyone. Hello and welcome to today's IELTS live class here at Academic English Helps channel. Before I begin, I just want to make sure that you can hear me okay and see me okay. So hi Ankur, hi Tay, hi Shishir. Can everybody hear me okay? It's going well. It's 6:30 a.m. in the morning here on beautiful West Coast, British Columbia, Canada. And we are broadcasting live. So if you can hear me, please let me know in the stream. Just send me a message saying, yes, I can hear you. And you can see me okay. That's great. Awesome. So my name is Adrian. I'm broadcasting to you from Canada. I have been teaching IELTS for about 15 years. And we have helped many students like you to pass academic and general IELTS. Today you will see questions for listening in the stream description. So we will be continuing with part 2 and part 3 of the listening section today. We covered part 1 and some important strategies. Again, all of this material is coming from www.aehelp.com. That's academicenglishhelp.com for academic IELTS, and we have www.gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. Okay, if you're going for school, go for academic IELTS. If you're going for immigration, go for general IELTS. You can use code VOCAB20 for a 20% discount when you get our full course, which has 6 full practice exams with audio for the listening and the reading and some speaking interview examples. There are 40 full videos with strategies and tips for you to score high. Of course, they're in high definition, they're pre-recorded, and of course there's an interactive course that you can use on your tablet or your phone to improve your skills and increase your band score. So today we're going to talk about IELTS listening, and again, the listening questions, you can see them in the stream description, okay? So, as we get going, let's cover a couple of vocabulary words. I really want to push you to learn new vocabulary every day. So I always start the class with a couple of new words and some examples. Now, again, on the website, we have a full list of 300 important words for IELTS. So you can see the website address, the URL, in the stream description. It's aehelp.com/blog/2015. And so on. So you just copy paste this into a new window, and then you can get 300 important words for the IELTS, and it will also tell you some important steps to learn these words and not only remember, but be able to use these words. For whoever's doing IELTS this weekend, good luck on your IELTS exam. I see Mukesh is going to have his speaking on Sunday, so good luck with that. Make sure you look at some of our speaking videos and information to help you with that, okay? So again, good luck to those who are doing IELTS this weekend. All right, so let's take a couple of new words for today. Remember again that when you're studying for IELTS, you should begin to study IELTS about 3 months before your exam. If you have more time, that's great. If you have less time, then you really need to get to work and do a lot of study. Ideally, you have about 3 months. Each day, you're learning 3 to 5 new words. That means you learn about 300 words before your test. So, let's start with a vocabulary. So let's go with the word compensate. I'll choose the first one and then I'll leave it up to you to choose the next one. So the word compensate, what is the definition? Does anybody know what the definition of the word compensate is? So what does compensate mean? What's the definition? Can somebody define this word for me? So I'm waiting for some of those students to give me some definitions. Again, remember, you can write a full sentence to describe. So Sandeep says a kind of paying. Yeah, I would say more accurate, Sandeep, to say that it's a kind of repaying. Okay? To cover damages that you have done. To make up for, English teacher says to make up for is a good phrasal verb. To make up for, that's an excellent phrasal verb that is also the meaning of compensate. Compromise, heliesis, is different. To recover something, to pay against work. Okay, those are close. So to compensate, again, remember, you can describe words, means to give back an equivalent value for the amount taken. Okay? So if you lose your friend's toy, or if you accidentally burn down somebody's car, then of course your friend or that person will expect that you do something in return, maybe replace the car, give them some money, buy a new toy, which will compensate them for their losses, right? So somebody lost something, somebody used up something, so it is compensated, it is replaced or something of equal or similar value is given to make up for that loss. All right, now, can somebody give me an example sentence with the word compensate? So can someone write a word write a sentence that uses the word compensate? Harpreet, replace is similar. Yeah, replace is not a bad word. So replace is a pretty good word for compensate. Okay, Sandeep says you can't compensate for wasted time. So Sandeep, the correct way to say that is you can't compensate for wasted time. You don't need the word back for compensate because compensate includes the meaning of back. So we don't use the word back there. Okay, the government should provide compensation. So you have to change the word form, Ankur. The government should provide compensation to farmers for their damaged crops. That's the correct sentence. In order to compensate my debts, I have been working an extra 2 hours every day. That's excellent, Pavan. So it includes yourself. It's interesting. It's quantifiable. So it's a very good example. In order to compensate for my debts, I have been working an extra 2 hours. Now, when you're writing in the IELTS exam, make sure that you write words for numbers 0 to 10 in the writing section. In the listening section, use numbers. In the reading section, use numbers when you're answering questions. But in the writing, use words. So extra 2 hours per day. Okay, that was a really good example, Pavan. Does anybody know why Pavan's example is a very good example for learning vocabulary? So why is Pavan's example a very good example for learning vocabulary? What did Pavan do really well in this sentence that makes it a good example sentence for learning the word compensate? Okay, so it's a complex sentence, Sandeep. Very good. So Sandeep's saying that it includes both a dependent and an independent clause. You're absolutely right. It's a complex sentence, which is great. Okay, and Hike says that it's interesting. Yeah, absolutely, because it's something that's kind of stressful, right? Whenever we have to do extra work, and become more busy in life, it's kind of stressful. So that makes it an interesting sentence. Okay, so it's interesting, it's it's complex, and the person themselves, Pavan, is included because there's the word my. So it's including ourselves. That's connecting it to our memory. That's connecting it to our brain. We're able to use it much more effectively in the future. Okay, just a quick question here again. I always ask this because so many students make a mistake in this kind of a sentence structure. Why is there a comma here? So it's a great sentence. It's complex. It's quantitative. It includes yourself. It's interesting. So why is there a comma? What do you mean, Hadil? Dependent. So what's dependent? What is dependent, Hadil? Yeah, so Sandeep says it's a dependent, comma, independent structure as opposed to the other way, which is independent, dependent structure. So here we have the dependent clause first. Some teachers will also say subordinating clause. Subordinating clause and dependent clause, it's the same idea, okay? Main clause, independent clause, same idea. So we're not joining two sentences, Amofa. This is not a compound sentence. That would be using and. This is a complex sentence using the... Does anybody know what the subordinating conjunction is here? I almost gave it to you. What is the actual subordinating conjunction in this sentence? So sapar geldi, we put a comma after the dependent clause. What is the subordinating conjunction here? The subordinating conjunction in this example for Pavan is in order to, okay? So it's in order to. What type of subordinating conjunction is in order to? What type of subordinating conjunction is in order to? It's not time, Pablo. That's right, Hadil. It's cause and, not fest, it's cause and effect. That's right. Good correction there. Maybe that was autocorrect. Yeah, so it's a cause and effect. So as a result of, because of, since something, right? So I have a debt, and because of the debt, I have to work an extra 2 hours. So in order to is a cause and effect subordinating conjunction. There are 3 other categories. There's time, right? What are the other 2 categories? So there's cause and effect, there's time. What are the other 2? Anybody know what the other 2 are? What are the other 2 types of reason is cause and effect? So sapar geldi, reason is still just cause and effect. Aradeus, place is not one. Shishir, very good, condition, right? If and when. So if I have a lot of debt, I have to do extra work. That is a condition. And Hadil says contrast. Yeah, so compare and contrast is the 4th category. So, all right. Now we have our example sentence, and we need to paraphrase it. So can somebody please paraphrase this example sentence as best as you can? So remember again, with paraphrasing, it means to say the same idea using different words. And you can do that with synonyms, antonyms with negatives, description, you can do it with grammar, and you can do it with expressions, right? So there's lots of different ways to paraphrase information. It is one of the most important skills for you to get a high band score. So make sure you're learning paraphrasing all the time. Can somebody paraphrase this example sentence for me? So in order to compensate for my debts, I have been working an extra 2 hours per day. So take your time and please paraphrase this sentence for me. And again, remember that you need to really write all of this down at home. So when you're practicing vocabulary, when you're creating these example sentences, make sure that you write it down. Okay? Sandeep, don't change the subordinating conjunction to a condition. Okay? So keep it cause and effect. If you change it from cause and effect to condition, it's a different sentence. So if I need to compensate for my debts, then I need to work an extra 2 hours. That's a condition. That means you're not really doing it. This sentence actually means that you're doing it. So Shishiri says, I have to work an extra 2 hours because of my compensate debts. Okay, that's grammatically incorrect, but the idea is wrong. It would be, or sorry, the idea is right, but grammatically it's wrong. It would have to be, I have to work an extra 2 hours a day to compensate for my debts. Okay, Hike says, I must work overtime every day because I have to compensate for my debts. That's very good. Yeah, the extra 2 hours is overtime. So overtime is a very nice way, Hike, to paraphrase that. So let's take Hikes. Hikes is a good one. So I must work overtime because I need to compensate for my debts. Yeah, that's a very nice one. So what Hike's done is he's switched around the dependent and the independent clause. He's used a nice synonym with overtime. Of course, you need to realize that overtime now is qualitative, so we don't actually have the number anymore. We don't have the specific time, right? But it's a good paraphrase, and it's done well. So that's what you need to do, okay? In my attempt to make up for my loss, I have been working an additional 2 hours within each day by Amofa. That's also a good paraphrase, except make sure that you do keep the original vocabulary compensate. So when you're practicing vocabulary, paraphrase as much as possible, except the vocabulary that you're learning, okay? So don't paraphrase that vocabulary. The only time you're paraphrasing that is when you're writing the definition. Okay, great, excellent, good job, guys. So let's take one more work and then we'll get into the listening. So one more word, and I'll give you a chance here to give me some suggestions. So is there a word that that you would like me to put up here? Give the definition and example sentence. So now's a good chance if you're curious about how to use a word in English. Just give me a word. Dissident, that's a good word, Ankit. Okay, let's see some more suggestions. Reckon, okay, that's used in slang a lot, Pavan, to reckon. Reckon is used to define a few things. It means to think. Shishir says disgusting. Okay, that's a pretty loaded word. Environment, irritated, redundant. Okay, let's go with the word redundant. Redundant is definitely academic vocabulary. It appears in the academic IELTS often. So it is one of the top words if you look at the academic word list. So let's go with redundant. So redundant. Anybody know what the definition of redundant is? So what is the definition of the word redundant? Yeah, repetitive is absolutely a good way to say it in another way. Synonym, repetitive. What is another good definition for redundant? Yes, English teacher, it can mean long, boring, and repeating. Absolutely. So long, boring, repeating is good. An extra what, Assad? If you say extra, an extra what? So if I say that the computer has several redundancies to make sure that we don't lose data. So I changed the word form a little bit, but there is a lot of redundancy in the computer so that we don't lose data. Then it means that it's something extra. Yep, copies is a good way to say it, Ankit. So it's an extra copy, an extra copy or backup. Okay, so what is the word form here? Is redundant a verb, an adjective, a noun? What is it? Yep, backup's definitely a good way to say synonym for redundant. It's a noun, yeah, so good answer there. It is redundant. Okay, can somebody give me an example sentence with the word redundant? And it can be used as an adjective as well. So guys who are and girls who are saying adjective, yeah, it can be used both as a verb and, or sorry, as a noun and as an adjective. So can somebody give me a sentence with the word redundant? Okay, Sandeep says, Adrian ignores all redundant sentences because he not only concentrates, but also, not only concentrates, but also something. Useful ones doesn't make sense. You need to replace that. But it's a great try, Sandeep. You're applying a correlative conjunction there. So not only, but also is the correlative conjunction. So it's a great try. I have done redundancy error while writing. That's got a few grammar mistakes in there, AJ, so you have to rewrite that. Okay, so English teacher says his article is suffering from, her article is suffering from redundancy. So we're changing the word form. When you're learning vocabulary, initially try to stay with the same word form so that you know how to use it. And definitely make it complex. So English teacher, you'd want to say something like her article is suffering from redundancy because she hasn't done any proofreading yet. That would be a complex sentence. Okay, the company must make something redundant because of a crisis. Yeah. So let's say it like this, gang. So my company must make security, right, redundant because there has not only been a lot of theft, but also natural disasters. Okay, so here is a nice complex sentence that includes myself, makes it interesting, and uses the word redundant. So my company must make security redundant because there has not only been a lot of theft, but also natural disasters. All right, that is a good example sentence for the word redundant. What kind of grammar does this sentence include? So what kind of grammar is included in this sentence? Can somebody tell me? So it's quite complex. Let's see if you can break it down. My company must make security redundant because there has not only been a lot of theft, but also natural disasters. So what kind of sentence? I can even take out natural here. To make it a better sentence. Yeah, there's a correlative conjunction in here. So not only, but also is a correlative conjunction. So we have a correlative conjunction. We have present perfect, yep, with the has. So has been. So there's present perfect. There's a correlative conjunction. What else is in there? I'm looking for some more. It's not past perfect, it's present perfect because it's has, not had. Okay, so there's present perfect, there's a correlative conjunction in there. What else is in there? Hint, guys, look at the word because. So let's see, is anybody picking that up? Yeah, so there's cause and effect. So there's also subordinating conjunction in there. So we have subordinating conjunction. You're right. You're right, AJ. I just created parallelism. That's why I took out the word natural to make the points parallel. So I have subordinating conjunction and I have a present perfect. What type of a present perfect is this? So what type of a present perfect sentence is this? Here, let me be a little bit more clear here. Is it active? Is this an active sentence? Yeah, there's passive in here. Very good, Hadil. So there has not only been a lot of theft by thieves. So there's also passive in here. So it's quite a complex sentence. There's passive, there's correlative conjunction, there's subordinating conjunction. Okay, now, again, this should be your goal. So when you're writing in IELTS Task 2, your goal should be to reach this level of grammar. When you can use this level of grammar, of course, you can get some very high scores, 8 and 9. All right, so one more step before we get into the listening. Can somebody paraphrase this sentence? So it's quite a tricky sentence to paraphrase. There's a lot of components in there. But of course, I'm always pushing you to be better and better. So can somebody paraphrase this long sentence? My company must make security redundant because there has not only been a lot of theft, but also disasters. Okay, so can somebody paraphrase this sentence? Surprise me. Do your best. And obviously, I'll give you a minute to do this because it is a tricky, long sentence with a lot of elements. So try and do. Security redundant should be essential in my company to overcome problems like theft and natural disaster. That's close, Ankur. There's a couple of small mistakes in there. So security must be made redundant because it is essential in my company to overcome problems like theft and natural disasters. That would be correct. So since there has been a lot of theft and disaster, my company must make security redundant. Yeah, that's a good way to do it, Assad. You've made it a little bit more simple, but it works. So since there has been both theft and disasters in my company, security must be made redundant. All right, so that's pretty close. The only thing I changed there is added back in another correlative conjunction. So I used both and in the paraphrase. So I was able to keep that correlative conjunction in the paraphrase. Okay, guys, that's great. So again, remember, 3 to 5 words each day. You can find good vocabulary to study for IELTS from our website at aehelp.com. Just go to the blog. By the way, there are a lot of other good topics in the blog, like how to write for different kinds of task 2, how to answer effectively in the speaking section. So there are a lot of good blog topics that we've put up over the years. Again, make sure that you visit us at aehelp.com and gieltshelp.com. Use vocab20 for a 20% discount. Also, if you like this live lesson, be sure to sponsor and help us out through Super Chat. We use the money that we get from Super Chat to upgrade our equipment, buy new speakers, microphones, computer equipment. And now let's go to the listening section. So again, the listening section questions, you can see them in the stream description for this live class, okay? So let's quickly review what we covered yesterday is important for the listening. So what kind of strategies do we need to use in the listening section? Those of you who watched yesterday's class, what kind of strategies are important when you're practicing the listening section at home? Yep, Pavan says critical thinking. Awesome. Yep, so we need to apply critical thinking. What else do we need to do? Visualization. Yep, so visualize, critical thinking, and paraphrasing. Yeah, so those are the 3 big strategies. We need to use all of them when we are studying for every part of IELTS, including the listening section. So let's have a look at the questions now. Again, look at your stream description. You will see the same questions that I'm looking at in our book here, okay? So let's look at the section 2 questions here. The first question is, what was the overall capacity of the Titanic? Can everybody see that question? What was the overall capacity of the Titanic? Can you guys see these questions in the stream description? I just want to make sure that you can see them because you will need to be able to use these. Great, so keep looking at those questions. So the question here is, what was the overall capacity of the Titanic? Let's read the next one. What was the cost of a third-class ticket? What were 3 benefits of a first-class ticket? Then you see some pictures. You probably don't have that in the stream. Which of the following best represents the Titanic? There's 3 pictures there. Don't worry about that one. That unfortunately can't be in the stream description. And then there is a flow chart as the last question. Extremely calm night, crashed against icebergs. The Titanic hit an iceberg. So the first step here is critical thinking. What's the first question that you should ask? So you have 30 seconds to review these questions, okay? And guys, make sure that in the IELTS, so make sure to use question review time to review questions. And I say this because so many times we see that students get to the IELTS, they sit down. Of course, IELTS begins with the listening section, so that's the first section. And then when students finish the first part, the listening section has 4 parts, okay? Each part gets more difficult. And so many times what we see is that students will not use the review time to review questions. So you have 30 seconds to review the questions. It's pretty fast, okay? 30 seconds, it's a good amount of time, but it goes fast. So make sure that you're using that 30 seconds to review your questions. Sometimes what students will do is they're kind of stare at the ceiling and start thinking about how difficult life is or how boring the exam is. That's a really bad idea, okay? Don't just stare at the ceiling. Don't zone out. Also, don't look at what you did in the last part. So in many situations, what happens is students are still thinking about part 1 and their answers in the part 2 review time, or they're thinking about their part 2 answers in the part 3 review time. Don't do that. So when it says now you have time to review the questions, make sure that you're reviewing the questions, okay? That's how you get the most scores. Zone out just means you're kind of thinking about the world, or you're not thinking, you're just looking at space, okay? You're daydreaming. Zone out means daydreaming. So make sure to use the question review time to review questions, and this is what you should do. You should quickly read as many of the questions as you can. Don't worry about the answers. So if you see multiple choice or something like that, don't worry about the answers. Just look at the questions, okay? Read the questions. Now, you read the questions. What do? So what should you do after you read the questions? So you got to part 2 of the listening. You did a good job on part 1. It says you have 30 seconds to review part 2. So you sit down, you quickly read the questions. What do you do next? You don't paraphrase them yet, Hadil. So you're actually paraphrasing the questions as you read them. You try to paraphrase. You're not eliminating answers. You can't eliminate answers yet. Yeah, so Ankit says visualize. That's definitely one. So a bit of review from yesterday. So you visualize. So you try to see, you try to picture what's going on. And then when you're visualizing, what are you trying to do at the same time? Okay, so Kira says predict the situation, and then Pradeep says critical thinking, which is the way that you predict the situation. So you go right into critical thinking, and critical thinking will help you to predict the situation. Okay, that's what you do to predict. So if you're doing good critical thinking, what should you do? Okay, this is still all happening in that 30 seconds. And when you practice this at home, you can really do this in 30 seconds. Okay, so AJ says, ask what, why, and how. Right, so let's ask what for this part 2. So what is this part 2 about? Okay, so let's get back to this specific example. So what is this part 2 about? Hi, Max. Thanks for joining. Okay, so Nari says it's about the Titanic. Can somebody give me a full sentence answer, not just the word Titanic? Okay, so Ankit says the sinking of the Titanic. Yep, that's partly correct. So part of it is the sinking of the Titanic. Hi, Reroort. Thanks for joining. So okay, Hadil says the whole story of the Titanic. That's a good way to say it, Hadil, or you can just simply say the history of the Titanic, right? So it's not just about the sinking, but it's the history of the Titanic. Okay. So the next question, of course, is why? So why are we talking about the history of the Titanic? So why is this listening being presented about the history of the Titanic? Why are we showing this? So Ankit says it was a kind of a ship. Okay, that's part of it. The Titanic was a luxurious boat. Yes. And it definitely helps, of course, if you're familiar with these topics. So if you know some of the history of the Titanic, for sure you're going to have a better situation for this IELTS exam than if you don't know anything about the Titanic. So it is important that you read a lot and get familiar with some of these big topics. Why is the Titanic such a popular ship? So Nari just said it's a popular ship. Why is it a popular ship? So why is it so famous? Yeah, so there you go. Sahaj Jalal says that it was the largest ship which tragically sunk on its first cruise. So it was the largest ship which sunk on its maiden voyage. Okay, maiden voyage means that it's the first trip ever. So it's a very sad but unique part of our current or more recent history where this massive ship was built which sunk on its maiden voyage, on its first voyage. A lot of people died, of course, so it became a very popular and famous story that we hear about, we read about. Of course, there's a very famous movie from a few years ago with Leonardo DiCaprio that showed the story of the Titanic. And then, of course, the next question is how? So the third question is how? And it's really important that you get to the how question. The how question will really help you to get better answers when you use that in your critical thinking to predict. So, how? So, how was the Titanic the largest ship? How did it sink? So, think about these how questions. Okay? Anybody know some information about the Titanic? So, anybody know how big it was and what actually happened to the Titanic? All right, great. Tanuj and Max says it hit an iceberg. Yeah, not a rock. It hit an iceberg. So the Titanic hit an iceberg. That's right. Yeah, it hit an iceberg. It collided, not clicked. It collided with a massive iceberg. Okay, so Pavan says there was maybe some kind of a mechanical failure. It's still a mystery, so there's still some information we don't know about it. How big was it? How big was the Titanic? Anybody know? Roughly? Did it have hundreds of people on it? Did it have thousands of people on it? How big was it? Yeah, so Tanuj says it had 5 floors, maybe even more. Pavan says it was about 500 feet. Asad said 800 meters. Sandeep said it has thousands of people. That's right. So those aren't the exact numbers, but you're approximating. So you're getting a rough idea of the scale of the boat, which is great. Yeah, it was a very large ship. So excellent. All right, so thousands of people. many floors. It had restaurants and so on and so on. Okay, great. So you read the questions in your 30 seconds. You were quickly thinking about these what, why, how. And as you're reading the questions, hopefully you're also paraphrasing a little bit. So when you get this what, why, how, your brain is working well. It's getting ready to listen to the information. Again, practice this at home so you can do it quickly and efficiently. Okay, it really will help to push your score up because you're going to be actively listening. So you're doing this active listening. And then, of course, as one of the students said, when you're reading these questions in your review time, you're also trying to paraphrase some of the key words that you see in the questions. During the test, you can only do this in your mind. You don't have enough time to write down words, and you don't need to. Okay, that's distracting. But at home, when you're practicing this, you really need to paraphrase some of the key words. So the first question is, what was the overall capacity of the Titanic? Okay, so the first question is, what was the overall capacity of the Titanic? Now, which word do you think you should be paraphrasing in your mind during the test or on paper at home? Which word do you think you should be paraphrasing here to make your listening score better? Yeah, okay, so you guys are saying capacity. Absolutely. And that's great practice. So when you're doing this at home, you start to realize which words are the important words that IELTS is going to be paraphrasing. And you said capacity, and a couple of you said total. Okay? Both capacity and total are good choices for paraphrasing. So overall is definitely a word that you're probably going to hear paraphrased in the audio, and capacity. So can someone paraphrase this sentence for me? Can someone say this sentence for me in a different way where you paraphrase overall and capacity? Can someone write up an example paraphrase? So this is what you want to do at home when you're practicing listening sections. And do it before you listen so that the information is coming from your brain and not coming from the audio. Okay, so Pavan says, how many people can fit inside the Titanic ship? So how many people can fit inside is paraphrasing capacity. It's a nice descriptive paraphrase. Tran says total number or total number of people. What's another way to say capacity? What was the total number of people the Titanic could carry? That's a very nice one, Nari. So Nari said, what was the total number of people the Titanic could carry? Yeah, that's a very good paraphrase. There's a very good chance that you'll hear the audio with something like that. Now, whenever you see total or total number, you might even have to do a little bit of math or thinking in IELTS, okay? So how many people could travel at a time on the Titanic? That's another good paraphrase, AJ. And the more ways you can paraphrase, the better the chance that you're going to hear that kind of sentence or those words in the listening. Okay, so great. What was the overall capacity of the Titanic? What was the total number of people the Titanic could carry? Excellent. Let's look at the next question. Do the same thing. So we'll just do a couple. We won't do all of them. But let's take the next one. And by the way, before we get to the next question here, we have some answers for 11. So if you're really good in IELTS and you're doing some really good paraphrasing, you see the answers for 11. It says 800. And it says 3,500, and it says 4,300. So we have 800, 3,500 and 4,300. What's another way to say 3,500 or 4,300? So what's a different way to say this? So this is 3,500. What's another way to say that in English? Yeah, 3,500, exactly. So make sure that you're familiar with different ways to say numbers in English, because in the listening, they're tricky. So sometimes they'll say 3,500 and sometimes they'll say 3,500. Okay, both are correct. We use both of them. And in the IELTS, sometimes they'll use one, sometimes they'll use the other. So make sure that you're familiar with both of these. And Ankit, you're right. Sometimes they will do some math, like they'll say 3,000 passengers and 500 crew members. So you need to add up the total, okay? All right, so that's just a little side note, but definitely be familiar with different ways of saying numbers in English. Again, that information is also on our websites. So let's look at number 12. So number 12 says, what was the cost of a third class ticket? So which words do you think the audio might paraphrase in this question? So what was the cost of a third class ticket? What might be paraphrased when you're actually listening to the audio? Cost for sure. Yep. Definitely words, keywords that are simple and have a lot of synonyms like cost. It's almost guaranteed that you're going to hear a paraphrase for that kind of word, okay? So you're not going to hear the word cost, but you'll hear the word something like price, as a few of you are saying, okay? Anything else that might be paraphrased in this? So what was the cost of a third class ticket? Third class, maybe. There's not a lot of different ways to say that. Okay, you might hear some form of a paraphrase for the word ticket, right? What's a different way to say ticket? Entry fee, yeah, or boarding fee. Okay. For a ship, it wouldn't be an entry fee, it would be a boarding fee. So you might see a paraphrase for ticket. Instead of ticket, they might say boarding fee or the boarding fare. That's right, Rohit. So there could be something there as well. All right, so let's paraphrase one more. And again, when you're doing the IELTS exam, that's all you have time for is just do quick paraphrasing. So you see the word cost, you should think, okay, maybe that will be price. Ticket, that might be something different like a boarding fare or a boarding fee. Okay, the price of a journey. Absolutely, Nari. That's a good paraphrase as well. Okay, let's take one more question. Let's paraphrase it, and then we'll do some listening. All right. So, let's take the next one. What were 3 benefits of a first class ticket? So this is 13 to 15, so it's worth 3 marks, okay? Pay really close attention to what the questions look like. This one's actually worth 3 marks, and it says choose 3 letters. So there are 3 answers that you're looking for here. So this is an important question. So what were 3 benefits of a first class ticket? Okay, so what were 3 benefits of a first class ticket? What do you think is going to be paraphrased here? So what will be paraphrased in this question? Benefit for sure. Yeah, so benefit, very good chance that that's going to be paraphrased. Most likely the sentence structure will be different as well, okay? What do you think is the most likely way to paraphrase benefit? So what is going to be yeah, Ankit, I agree with you. I think advantage is probably going to be the paraphrase here. Again, when you practice this at home, you're going to realize what are the best paraphrases. So you're not just going to learn paraphrasing, but you'll start to really notice what the words are that IELTS chooses to paraphrase some of these words. So that's going to be very useful for you when you sit the IELTS. So what were 3 advantages of a first class ticket? Okay, so I'm going to play the audio for you now, and what's really important here is please don't answer, okay? I'm going to play the audio twice. The first time, all I want you to do is just visualize, okay? So don't answer any questions yet. I will play this audio for you twice, okay? So don't answer, just listen. Just listen and listen actively. So visualize. Okay, so I'm going to play the audio twice. So for this first round, just listen and visualize. If you have to close your eyes to do it, that's okay. No problem. Don't answer the questions. We'll do that on the second turn, okay? So for this turn, just make sure to visualize and see the image as clearly as possible. Of course, remember that for good visualization, you should also include yourself. So you should see yourself on this boat, okay? So do not answer the questions yet. Just give me one moment to start the audio here. Okay.
Now turn to section 2.
Okay, just give me a moment, guys. I'll have to put my mic closer to the system. And make sure you turn up your speakers here so you can hear this clearly, okay? So you don't need to be looking at questions, Nari. Just listen and visualize, okay? So just listen and visualize.
Some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Listening section 2. You will hear a radio presenter interviewing a woman about the infamous ship Titanic. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Interview and answer questions 11 to 16.
Good afternoon to all our listeners and welcome back to History Now, a weekly program that reflects on subjects of historical influence. Today we are going to speak with Dr. Andrea Smithson, an historian at the University of Glasgow. Good afternoon, Andrea.
Good afternoon, Peter.
What are you going to talk about today, Andrea?
I'll be talking about one of the most catastrophic events in maritime history, the sinking of the Titanic.
I can't wait for you to begin.
Thanks, Peter. The Titanic was an enormous ship. The makers called it unsinkable. From end to end, it measured approximately the length of 3 football pitches. It had the capacity to carry over 3,500 passengers, as well as the over 800 people on the crew of the ship. Despite its massive size and impressive capacity, the Titanic was able to cruise at a speed of 40 knots. This was in large part due to the 59,000 horsepower engine. Just how much is 59,000 HP? Well, in literal terms, it's like being pulled by 59,000 horses. More realistically, it's the equivalent power of 500 cars. On the maiden voyage that left Southampton, England, on the 10th of April 1912, there were 1,343 passengers and 885 crew members. There were 3 different classes of tickets for those aboard the Titanic. A third-class ticket was the lowest level ticket. At the time, it cost between £3 and £8. A second-class ticket cost about £12. A first-class ticket cost anywhere from £30 all the way up to £870. In today's money, £870 is over £20,000. You may be wondering what the people in the first class were paying for. They had luxurious rooms on the highest decks, delicious meals for breakfast, lunch and dinner, as well as the finest entertainment money could buy. On the other hand, those in third class slept in cramped rooms which were quite plain and small and did not have access to the fine restaurants and entertainment on the upper decks of the ship. Now I'd like to tell you about a few lesser known facts about the Titanic. Although there were 4 large funnels, or smokestacks, on the Titanic, only 3 of them were functional. One of the funnels was put there just to make the ship look even bigger and more impressive. The ship carried over 70 tons of food for the passengers, including over 40,000 eggs.
You now have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen to the rest of the interview and answer questions 17 to 20.
On the night of the 14th of April 1912, on her maiden voyage, the Titanic hit an iceberg. About 3 hours later, early morning the next day, the ship sank. The reasons for the sinking are numerous. First, the watertight doors, which were supposed to keep water out, didn't work properly. Second, the night of the 14th of April was incredibly calm on the water. Icebergs are easily spotted when there are waves crashing against them. On this night, there were no waves. The strength of the metal in the Titanic was not as it should have been. The metal became brittle in the freezing cold and was easily broken by the iceberg. Another big factor was the inability of the Titanic to turn quickly. Once the lookouts had spotted the iceberg, the captain ordered the ship turned, but it was too late. If the ship had been able to turn faster, it would have missed the iceberg. One of the biggest tragedies about the sinking was that there were not enough lifeboats for everyone on the ship. In addition to this, many of the lifeboats left the sinking vessel with less than half of the people they were designed to carry. For example, the first lifeboat off the Titanic left with only 27 of the allotted 65 passengers. This unfortunate occurrence can be attributed to panic on the part of the passengers and crew. One can only imagine the sheer terror on board the ship that early morning. 1,523 out of the 2,228 passengers and crew perished that morning. Most died from the near-freezing temperature of the Atlantic Ocean. Others drowned after being trapped in the lower decks. 705 people lived to tell their story, most of them women and children who were put on the lifeboats before the grown men were. Because of this, 94% of the first-class passenger women and children were saved, while only 14% of the third-class passenger men survived. Overall, 60% of the first-class occupants survived, while only 25% of the third-class ticket holders lived in the aftermath of this tragedy.
That is the end of section 2. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
All right, everyone. So I hope that you were concentrating, actively listening, and visualizing what you heard. Just a quick question. We'll listen to the audio one more time and you can answer the questions. Of course, you notice that it is a British accent. IELTS is British, so the listening audio will be in the British accent. And do remember that there are different kinds of British accents in the United Kingdom. So you might hear some accents that are a little bit different from each other, but they are all UK or England English accents. But there are some differences in accents even within England. So make sure that you listen to as many different listening sections as possible. Okay, so a quick question for everyone. What did you see? So when you listen to this audio, what did you actually see in your mind's eye? So what did you see inside of your brain? So what did you see? And you should ask this question. So when you're practicing this at home, don't be shy. Ask this from yourself. What did I see? And try to describe it in as much detail as possible, and try to describe it systematically. So don't jump around, but describe it from, this is what I saw first, this is what I saw second, this is what I saw third, fourth. Forget about the girl row. So we don't care about the presenter here. The story is much more important. So we don't care about who's presenting here. We just care about the story and what we saw. So it's good for you to visualize. When you're visualizing, you should include yourself. Did everybody remember to include yourself in the visualization? So be a part of the visualization. So be a part of the story, guys. You got to be a part of the story. Was anybody visualizing where you were a part of this story? And if yes, what did you see? So some of you are saying, okay, you saw the ship sinking. Pardeep says the Titanic was hitting an iceberg. You saw that. It was a big, luxurious ship, but unable to save people due to careless behavior, is what AJ says. So what did you actually see? You should be a part of this story. When you're doing good visualization, everyone, I'm not seeing this, so it makes me a little bit worried. When you're doing good visualization, who should you be in this listening? So who should you be in this listening if you're doing good visualization? In this example, who should you be? When you're visualizing this, who should you be? Okay, so Tanuj says you should be a passenger. Yeah, passenger is okay. Who else could you be? Okay, Nora, very good. Captain of the ship. Excellent. Okay, so you could be the captain of the ship. And Pavan, very good. Or you could be one of the crew members. Sure, so passenger is okay. Crew member is better. Captain of the ship is maybe even better because it's the most interesting. So if you visualize yourself as the captain of the ship, you're doing a really good job. Okay, so if you are a crew member or a passenger or captain of the ship, what do you see? So start from the beginning of the story. What do you see in the beginning of the story when you are a crew member, passenger, or the captain? So what should you see? And this is before the iceberg, okay? They left England. Remember, the Titanic left England. There aren't icebergs around England. So you get on this boat. It's a huge boat. You've never seen a boat this big before. You're the captain or you're the passenger, the crew member. You get aboard this boat. What's the first thing you do? You see a lot of people inside the ship. That's good. What's the first thing you do when you get on the boat? Yeah, you give your ticket, right? Okay, so be logical, guys. So be logical in your thinking and in your visualization. So you give a ticket to get on this boat. Now you're on this boat. You gave a ticket. Maybe you have a first class ticket. You're one of the rich passengers. You have a lot of money. So you're paying in pounds, right? It's a British pound. So you paid for this very expensive ticket. You got on this boat. You're looking around. Hirdoy says you're looking around. You're looking around this ship. What do you see on the ship? People are enjoying each other. Okay, what do you actually see there on the ship? Do you see anything? Maybe you see some rooms, right? You find your room. It's a really nice room. You see some great entertainment. Means maybe somebody playing on the piano or some musician, somebody singing. You see a lot of food. That's right. There's probably a big restaurant, fancy restaurant. Exactly. You see the ocean out your window. Okay, good. So that's what should be happening in your brain when you hear this kind of listening and you're visualizing. You should see all these details. Again, remember, it's important to visualize details, right? And then as the story continues, what do you see? So you're on this boat, you're enjoying your first class ticket. Maybe you see some of the passengers who don't have as much money. You visit the bottom part of the ship. Okay, and now the boat is going along, and you are a night owl. It means you stay up late at night. So what do you see as the story continues, as this speaker is talking about what happened to the Titanic? What do you see? So think about the disaster here. So what's happening? Or maybe you're the captain of the ship. This is why being the captain is very good. So you're seeing the ocean. Do you see waves on the ocean? Okay, so you start to see the iceberg. Okay, it's nighttime, so you see the moon and the stars, right? All right, it's a calm night, so there are no waves. Good, Assad, you caught that. You should be visualizing that, right? It's a huge haul. Maybe it's raining. It said it was a calm night in the audio, so there probably wasn't any rain. And then you see this big iceberg. You see that the boat is not turning. And eventually, bam, you hit this massive iceberg, this huge ice mountain that's floating in the water. What do you see next? If anybody saw the movie Titanic, this should be really simple. Anybody see the movie Titanic? Yeah, the temperature is freezing, so you're cold. You probably have a big jacket. Very good, Nari. Those are some really good visualizations and really good ideas that you're putting out there. If you can do that, you're going to get a good score for sure. Okay, you feel a sudden jerk. Very good, Assad. So you, bam, you feel this huge hit. Of course, I'm sure these people felt this big hit as they smashed into this iceberg. So definitely you should be visualizing it. It's not just like la da 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 da, I hit an iceberg, oh da da da. No, you're probably going to jar. You're probably going to feel this big smash. You're going to hear the noise. That's right. So now everybody's scared. That's right, Ola. So you should see all these people running around scared, right? Of course you're freaking out. I hope nobody ever has this kind of situation in life, but we can only imagine that it would be a terrifying situation with lots of people panicking. Exactly. So now the people are panicking. So what's happening? What are people doing? The boats hit the iceberg. There's been this big bang, this big sound. What's happening with the people? They're panicking. What are they doing? There's chaos. They're going on lifeboats, right? They're trying to get off the boat. Okay, so they're getting off the boat. They're pushing each other around. They're falling all over the place. There's not enough people getting into the boats because they're scared, so the boats are leaving early. They're not full of people. Of course, the rich people are getting off first. They're at the top deck, so they have the first access to the lifeboats. So you should be visualizing all of these details and all of this information as you're doing this listening. If you don't see this, guys, so if you don't see the picture clearly, what can you do? What can you do when you're practicing at home and you listen to this kind of a presentation and you can't see the pictures clearly in your head? What should you do? Yeah, so Rohit, people are going to the muster station. Exactly. Those are all great. People are jumping into the water. What should you do if you cannot see information clearly when you're practicing this at home? By the way, if you can't see this information when you practice this at home, there's no way you should answer questions because you'll just get so many wrong. So you have to do some other steps. So Hike, what if you're having trouble visualizing? Don't jot down notes, guys. Notes are not going to help you at this point. If you can't see something when you're listening to it, you won't be able to take notes. Pray to God. That might help. Okay, AJ says listen again. Yeah, absolutely. So listening again is a good idea. And again, and again. Yeah. So listen again, listen again. Don't answer questions. Don't take notes. just listen again. Okay, so you listen again. All right, that's one that you can do. So listen again. What else can you do? Okay, so this is if you're having trouble visualizing, you're listening again, you're checking keywords. There's something else, guys, and this is a big missing part of many students' IELTS learning for the listening section. Good IELTS books, okay, when you're learning from good IELTS materials, again, on aehelp.com, our practice exams, and at gieltshelp.com, practice exams have this. The Cambridge books have this, okay? Good IELTS books have this somewhere in the back of the book. What can you find in a good IELTS book that will help you with the listening section when you're having trouble visualizing? So in a good IELTS textbook with practice exams, yeah, that's right, Pablo, you'll find the script or the transcripts, okay? So look and read the transcripts. Okay, so that's your step. If you do not understand the listening, if you're unable to see, visualize, picture what you hear, then first listen again. Maybe the second time it'll be more clear. Maybe you were just having trouble with the accent. And if you're still having trouble, then look and read the transcript, okay? You have more time, then you look at the key words there. You maybe need a dictionary to define them, see what the missing vocabulary is for you. So use the transcripts, okay? The transcripts are very, very useful tools for you to help you understand the listening, okay? All right, so let's listen one more time, and this time, please answer the questions. Again, the questions are in the stream description. So listen one more time to this audio, answer the questions, and then I will give you the answer key and explain to you where that information is coming from, okay? So let's listen one more time. This time, you are answering the questions, okay? So answer the questions when you listen this time, all right? So we're going to listen again and answer the questions that are in the stream description. Is everybody ready? Are you ready? Just want to see, make sure that everybody's on the same page as me. Pardeep says he is ready to go. That's good. Great. Max says he's ready. Ritu is ready. Tran is ready. AJ is ready. What's up is ready. All right, then let's listen one more time and answer these questions as you listen.
Now turn to section 2. Take some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Listening section 2. You will hear a radio presenter interviewing a woman about the infamous ship Titanic. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully to the interview and answer questions 11 to 16.
Good afternoon to all our listeners and welcome back to History Now, a weekly program that reflects on subjects of historical influence. Today we are going to speak with Dr. Andrea Smithson, an historian at the University of Glasgow. Good afternoon, Andrea.
Good afternoon, Peter.
What are you going to talk about today, Andrea?
I'll be talking about one of the most catastrophic events in maritime history, the sinking of the Titanic.
I can't wait for you to begin.
Thanks, Peter. The Titanic was an enormous ship. The makers called it unsinkable. From end to end, it measured approximately the length of 3 football pitches. It had the capacity to carry over 3,500 passengers, as well as the over 800 people on the crew of the ship. Despite its massive size and impressive capacity, the Titanic was able to cruise at a speed of 40 knots. This was in large part due to the 59,000 horsepower engine, Just how much is 59,000 HP? Well, in literal terms, it's like being pulled by 59,000 horses. More realistically, it's the equivalent power of 500 cars. On the maiden voyage that left Southampton, England, on the 10th of April 1912, there were 1,343 passengers and 885 crew members. There were 3 different classes of tickets for those aboard the Titanic. A third-class ticket was the lowest level ticket. At the time, it cost between £3 and £8. A second-class ticket cost about £12. A first-class ticket cost anywhere from £30 all the way up to £870. In today's money, £870 is over £20,000. You may be wondering what the people in the first class were paying for. They had luxurious rooms on the highest decks, delicious meals for breakfast, lunch and dinner, as well as the finest entertainment money could buy. On the other hand, those in third class slept in cramped rooms which were quite plain and small and did not have access to the fine restaurants and entertainment on the upper decks of the ship. Now I'd like to tell you about a few lesser known facts about the Titanic. Although there were 4 large funnels, or smokestacks, on the Titanic, only 3 of them were functional. One of the funnels was put there just to make the ship look even bigger and more impressive. The ship carried over 70 tons of food for the passengers, including over 40,000 eggs.
You now have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen to the rest of the interview and answer questions 17 to 20.
On the night of the 14th of April 1912, on her maiden voyage, the Titanic hit an iceberg. About 3 hours later, early morning the next day, the ship sank. The reasons for the sinking are numerous. First, the watertight doors, which were supposed to keep water out, didn't work properly. Second, the night of the 14th of April was incredibly calm on the water. Icebergs are easily spotted when there are waves crashing against them. On this night, there were no waves. The strength of the metal in the Titanic was not as it should have been. The metal became brittle in the freezing cold and was easily broken by the iceberg. Another big factor was the inability of the Titanic to turn quickly. Once the lookouts had spotted the iceberg, the captain ordered the ship turned, but it was too late. If the ship had been able to turn faster, it would have missed the iceberg. One of the biggest tragedies about the sinking was that there were not enough lifeboats for everyone on the ship. In addition to this, many of the lifeboats left the sinking vessel with less than half of the people they were designed to carry. For example, the first lifeboat off the Titanic left with only 27 of the allotted 65 passengers. This unfortunate occurrence can be attributed to panic on the part of the passengers and crew. One can only imagine the sheer terror on board the ship that early morning. 1,523 out of the 2,228 passengers and crew perished that morning. Most died from the near-freezing temperature of the Atlantic Ocean. Others drowned after being trapped in the lower decks. 705 people lived to tell their story, most of them women and children who were put on the lifeboats before the grown men were. Because of this, 94% of the first-class passenger women and children were saved, while only 14% of the third-class passenger men survived. Overall, 60% of the first-class occupants survived, while only 25% of the third-class ticket holders lived in the aftermath of this tragedy.
That is the end of section 2. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
All right, so you should use that half minute to check your answers. Make sure you didn't make any silly mistakes with your spelling or with your choices. Now let's look at the answer key. and answer these questions. So number 11, did anybody get an answer for number 11? Nari says it's C. Any other opinions? Pardeep says 4,300. Pablo says C. Nora says C. Majority opinion is usually correct, guys. Yes, the correct answer is C. Why? Does anybody know why the correct answer is 4,300? So why is C the correct answer? C is good answer, guys, so it's great. Why is it C? It's not 350, AJ. It's 3,500. Passengers plus 800 crew. That's right. And what's the question asking you? It's asking you for the overall capacity. Remember, we paraphrase this as the total number of people on the boat. So that means it includes both the crew and the passengers. The passengers is 3,500. The crew is 800. So the total is 4,300. And surprise, everyone, IELTS does do this kind of a question where you have to use some simple math to add together the numbers because that checks your comprehension skills, okay? So it's not going to be difficult math. They'll never do a difficult math question, okay? So no difficult math questions, just simple addition. So pay attention to the question. So the correct answer is C for number 11. And I will read to you the part out of the transcripts that gives you that answer. So it says it had the capacity to carry over 3,500 passengers as well as the over 800 people on the crew of the ship. So when you look at the transcripts in the back of the book, you can find where the answers are coming from, okay? In our book, we have the answers in bold, so you can clearly see that. Nari, you definitely should. If you're looking at the Cambridge books, the past IELTS papers for book 1 to 9, some of those practice exams definitely have similar types of simple math problems in the listening section. So pay careful attention to that. You will see it in some of the practice exams. Okay, how about question number 12? Anybody get the answer for question number 12? So number 11 was C, which is 4,300. How about number 12? So what was the cost of a third class ticket? Was it 30 to 870, 1 to 2, or 3 to 8? C, that's right. Yeah. So again, it's C. So the cost was 3 to 8 pounds. Okay. And I'll read for you where that one's coming from. So just give me a second here. Okay, it says, so this lecturer said, a third class ticket was the lowest level ticket. At the time, it cost between 3 and 8 pounds. So in this case, the question and the answer both had the word cost in there. Sometimes there is no paraphrasing. All right, now questions 13 to 14. What were the 3 benefits of a first class ticket? So 13 to 15, the cost of a the benefits, the advantages of a first class ticket. What were they? So Ruby says BDC, Nick says BCD, B2D, AJ says BDE. Let's check the answers. Okay, here we go. So, you may be wondering what people of the first class were paying for. They had luxurious rooms on the highest deck. So, luxurious rooms, B is definitely one of them. Okay, let's see what else they had. They had delicious meals for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So, delicious meals is going to be another one, which is high quality meals, right? Some paraphrasing there. So the delicious meals, the best money could buy, high quality meals. And then as well as the finest entertainment money could buy. So the finest entertainment money could buy is great entertainment. So if you got B, D, C, you got all three of them correct. If you missed one of those, that means you only get two. If you missed two of them, that means you only get one. Now, be very careful, guys. If you give 4 in this case, so if you read the question wrong and you also give A, they will mark all of them wrong, okay? It's just because they don't know what you're doing and they think you're just guessing, so you're writing everything down. So if you write extra answers, you can get all of them wrong, even if you have the correct 3. So if it says only 3, make sure you only choose 3. If you choose 4, you will get all of them wrong, okay? So just choose 3 for this kind of a question. All right, so B, D, and C are the correct answers. For question number 16, that's a picture question, and you don't have the pictures, so you can't answer that question, unfortunately. I can't put it in the stream description for you. The best one there would be, the answer would be B, if you could see the pictures. If you have our book, and if you're looking at our book, then you can answer that question, and then you know that the correct answer is B. Okay, let's look at questions 17 to 20. So, extremely calm night, no blank something crashed against the icebergs. Ritu has the book. That's great, Ritu. So then you know that the correct answer is B because there's 4 smokestacks. Okay, AJ says wave. So no wave crashed against iceberg. No wave crashed against the iceberg is correct. All right, that's a correct answer. In this case, both plural and singular are going to be accepted. So the better answer is the plural, to be on the safe side. So no waves crashed against the iceberg. It is more safe to have the plural S. Okay, then number 18, the watertight what failed? So number 18. And this one you can probably answer with just logical thinking. Okay, the watertight doors. That's right. Again, you need the S. If you don't have the S here, okay, if you don't have the S on doors, you will get it wrong because there are more than one, there's more than one door. There are doors, so you need the plural. Pay attention to plurals when you're doing the listening. If it needs the S, it's a plural, you have to have it. If you don't write the plural, you will get it wrong, okay? Is everybody clear on that? So plurals are important. Can somebody let me know if you're clear on the plurals? Okay, good. So Ritu says yes. AJ, yes. Sanji, it's doors. Yes, sir. Yes, clear. Okay. Yeah, plurals are important, guys. If you need a plural, if they say doors in the listening, in the audio, you have to write doors. Just writing a door will not be enough. All right? Pay close attention. Okay, and number 19, many something left the ship half full. Many something left the ship half full. Remember, the question is asking you no more than 2 words. Yeah, so lifeboats is correct. Okay, lifeboats is the correct answer here. Now, lifeboats, to be on the safe side, write it as 2 words, okay? So lifeboats is correct. Let's see here where the answer... So in addition to this, many of the lifeboats left the sinking vessel with less than half of the people they were designed to carry. Lifeboats is 2 words, okay? Pradeep, jackets is not a good answer here because think about it. Left the ship half full. It can't be jackets. Okay, many jackets left the ship half full. If jacket's leaving the ship, that's kind of weird. A human is wearing a jacket. Just boats? No. If you write just boats, it's wrong. You need 2 words for this answer. Okay, guys? So you need 2 words. You need life, boats. If you write just boats, it's wrong. All right? Pay attention to the question. It says no more than 2 words. Even life jacket is wrong because life jackets don't leave the ship half full. Okay? So that's not correct. All right. So lifeboats. The number 20. 1,523 people died, most from the freezing cold temperatures of what? Okay, so number 20. Okay, so Ritu, correct answer. Nora, wrong answer. Aritas, wrong answer. Aritas, why is it a wrong answer? Aritas says North Atlantic Ocean. Why is North Atlantic Ocean a wrong answer? Why is Atlantic a wrong answer? Why is water a wrong answer? Okay, the right answer is Atlantic Ocean. Let me put it a little bit higher here so you can see this. Okay, so number 20 is Atlantic Ocean. This is the correct answer. Yeah, so 3 words is wrong. So if you say North Atlantic Ocean, it's wrong because that's 3 words. This question says no more than 2 words. Be really careful with the question instructions, okay? What if I write Atlantic Ocean like this? Is this correct? Atlantic Ocean? Is this a correct answer? Atlantic Ocean. Is that a correct answer? No, you get it wrong. Absolutely, guys. So it's wrong because there is no capitalization on the proper noun. Proper nouns must have a capitalization. So Atlantic Ocean like this is wrong, okay? All right, another question. If in my answer key, I write it like this, is that correct? Atlantic Ocean with Atlantic big and ocean small. So is it correct this way? No, that's right. It's wrong because the O has to be capital as well. Okay, so Nari says write it all in capital letters. So is this correct? So is it correct if I write it all in capital letters like this? Atlantic Ocean, all big letters. Is that correct? Okay, so Nora says correct. Tran says yeah. AJ says yes. Prosafa says no. Nada says yes. Man says yeah. Assad says yes. Nari says why not? It is correct. Okay, so all capital is correct. Okay, so if you want to be safe and you want to make sure that you don't miss a point because of capitalization, use all capital letters. Okay, so this is the safest, easiest answer. Atlantic Ocean, all capital letters. It is correct. The IELTS exam accepts if you write all of your answers in capital letters. All right, so the safest way to make sure that you don't lose silly marks like this one or like this one is to write all in capitalized letters. So that's the safe way to do it. Just make sure that your letters are clear and you don't make spelling mistakes. One danger of using all capitals, can somebody guess? Can somebody guess what is one of the dangers of using all capital letters? So what's the danger if I write all capital letters? There are two things that can be a little bit tricky. Yes, very good, Adnan. Spelling mistakes. Spelling mistakes are more common when the letters are all capital. So when you have all capital letters, it's easier to make spelling mistakes. That's just the way our brain works, okay? So when we're using all capitals, spelling mistakes are more common. So careful, there's a trade. Okay, the other one actually is fitting into the space on the answer sheet. Okay, so you can see here that capital letters take more space than using lowercase or small letters. So be careful, practice at home on the answer sheet writing these capital letters because you have to stay in the space that's given, okay? Especially if you have 3-word answers. So you need to stay in the space that they give you on the answer sheet for the marking. So just make sure to practice that at home, okay? So be careful for spelling mistakes. Be careful with your spacing. Some of you said that it's hard to see spacing. So be careful with spacing. Be careful with spelling, but that is the safest way to give your answer. Okay, so that is a lot of information for you over this last hour and a half for the listening part 2. Now I am going to take a 10-minute break and then we'll just go right into part 3. Okay, so again, these materials are coming from aehelp.com for academic IELTS, gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. You can find lots of listening practice there, as well as reading, speaking, and writing. We have lots of good strategies there for you. Use vocab 20 for a discount when you visit us. Make sure you have clear handwriting, okay? Sunny says also more time consuming to write capitals. That's true too, so careful with that. Okay guys, so I'm going to take a 10-minute break. In the 10 minutes, just take a deep breath, relax, and then when I come back, we'll go right into part 3 listening. You will see part 3 listening questions in the stream description, okay? So thank you for watching so far, and I hope you stay, and I hope you continue watching and listening for part 3. So I will be back in 10 minutes for part 3 listening. Okay, so back in 10 minutes for part 3 listening. Keep watching. Make sure you practice these strategies and make sure you visit our websites. Again, lots of useful information there for you. If you like these live lessons, do use Super Chat. It's the button beside the emoji. Donate a few dollars. We use that money for better equipment, more lessons. So it's good for us. It's good for you. Again, I will be back in 10 minutes for part 3 listening. So see you in 10 minutes. All right, everyone. So I'm back. Let's continue. Let's go through part 3 of the listening, the same as part 2. Just as we're starting here, can everybody hear me okay? Can everybody see me okay? So can you hear me and can you see me? Okay, you're saying yes, you can. That's great. Awesome. So let's have a look at part 3. Again, the part 3 questions are in your stream description. So if you look at the stream description, go down a little bit and you will see the questions for part 3 of the listening. And again, this material is coming from our website at aehelp.com for academic IELTS, gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. There's a discount code there for you, so you can get the full book and all of the questions from our websites, okay? There's 6 full practice exams there for you, as well as videos and an interactive course with lots of strategies. So let's look at questions 21 to 30. So questions 21 to 30, part 3. Okay. When you're practicing this at home, again, step number 1 is just read the questions and use critical thinking and visualization so that you can predict what the listening will be about. You have 30 seconds to do this in the official exam. So step number 1 is read the questions, visualize, critical think, and then predict. So read questions and predict using visualization and using critical thinking. So can everybody see the questions in the stream description? So can you see the questions 21 to 30 in the stream description? Can someone give me a yes, I can? Okay, Max says yes, we can. Awesome. All right, so let's look at these questions. Again, be really careful. Pay attention to the question. The question says no more than 1 word, okay? So this answer only needs 1 word. Don't write more. If you write more than 1 word, you will get it wrong. So question 21 says, what day of the week does the discussion take place? All right, good. Now let's look at questions 22 to 23. This is a table question. In the book, you would see a table for this, but now you just see the blanks. So it says for 22, blank the project, which is today. And then it says doing the project, which is tonight. And then putting together the project, 23 blank. Okay, so here you have blanks. Again, the question says no more than 1 word. And then question 24 is who paid the cost of the poster board? And then you have some answers there. And then 25 says the topic must be an event that occurred sometime between the years blank and blank. 26 says what topic would the male student like to write on but cannot due to assignment restrictions, okay? And then 27 to 30, where do the students decide to put each historical figure? On the sides of the poster, in the middle of the poster, they do not include this historical figure. Again, part 3 is going to be more difficult than part 2 and part 1 of the listening, so keep that in mind. You have to try and you have to do even more, okay? All right, so when you read these questions, what do you see? So what do you see when you read these questions? Can somebody give me some ideas or some information about what you visualize, what you see in your head when you're reading these questions? So again, Sandeep, you got to just do this step by step and you need to practice it at home. So first thing, in the 30 seconds, you quickly skim over the questions, you visualize it. What do you see? So Ritu says students doing a project. Yeah, absolutely. So you should see students doing a project. What kind of project? So what kind of a project are these students doing? Yeah, it's a school assignment. Assad says giving a school assignment. That's great. Try to get into more details. What kind of a project or what kind of a school assignment? Okay, Hadil says it's a poster. That's great. You have to see a poster. Has anybody done a poster project before? Have any of you done poster projects? It's a group project. Very good. Great. So you're doing a group project. It's a poster project. That's excellent if you have this in your head and you can see this. What goes onto a poster? What do you put on the poster in a poster project? So when you're doing a poster project, what do you put onto the poster, usually? You put some pictures on there, you put some art on there, and what else? You put captions. Nada says captions. You might put some figures on there. Yeah, quotes, some information, right? So you have pictures, you have information, and very importantly, it should be organized, okay? A good poster is organized in some way, so there's some clear structure to the presentation, all right? Some clear content. So if you're visualizing this, that's great. You're using critical thinking. So you say, okay, what is this about? It's a group project between students doing a poster project. Why? Because they need to finish the school assignment to get some good grades. How? So how do you do a group poster project? I know I'm getting very technical with you, but this is important. It's important to train your brain in this way. So how do you do a group poster project? You collaborate with other team members, you have a discussion about it, sure. You put together the contents, you collect the information. So these are some very good pieces by Ankit, by Ritu, by Nari. You plan the implementation, absolutely. So what do you plan, AJ? So when you're planning your group project and you're putting together the information, what do you plan? Okay, Nada, very good. You say assign everyone to do a certain job, right? So when you're working in a team, when you're working in a group, each member has some kind of a task. So everybody has some task priorities. That's right. So when you're thinking this way and you're thinking quickly and you can think about and see all of this information before you listen, then you are definitely on the right track to get a high IELTS score, okay? So that's what you want to do before you get into it. All right, now, before you listen, and I saw a couple of you asking this, you say, show the paraphrasing. So you paraphrase some of this information. So let's just do that with a couple questions. So you paraphrase the questions. Don't listen, just paraphrase the questions first. So the first question, 21, is what day of the week does the discussion take place? Okay, good. So what day of the week does the discussion take place? Can somebody paraphrase this for me? Any way that you think you might hear this in the listening section. So the key word here that might be paraphrased, you're right, is discussion. Take place is something that might be paraphrased. So what is a good paraphrase for this? Can somebody give me a good paraphrase for this? In which day is the discussion is okay? Tell me the day of the week, the topic that they're talking about. Keep it simple, guys. Think about something different. Yeah, Pradeep, very good. Meeting. So when are they meeting? So keep it simple too. Often the best type of thinking is simple thinking. So when are they meeting? Okay. is a very simple open question to paraphrase this. So when are they meeting? It's not a debate, Hadil, so I don't think debate is something that you're going to hear because they're not debating with each other. So when are they meeting? What day are they meeting? Okay, keep it simple. So instead of a discussion, the word meeting is something you might hear. Okay, let's look at the next question. Let's look at 24 here for a quick paraphrase. Who paid the cost of the poster board? So who paid the cost of the poster board? Can somebody paraphrase this for me? Who paid the cost of the poster board? What is another way you might actually see this? Who will fund it? It's okay, Nari, but it's not too natural. It's unlikely that that will be the way it's paraphrased. Who spent the money for the poster board? That's better. Yep, that might be something. What's another way to say paid here? Does anybody know the English expression for paying here? Cost is okay, purchase is okay. Who will take care of the poster board is a little bit different. Who will buy the poster board? That's a good one, Ankit. So buying will definitely be something that you might see there, a verb, right? So buy is good. Or who covered the price? Who bought the poster board? Or who is covering the cost? Okay, so those are some good paraphrases. So who bought the poster board? And who is covering the cost of the poster board is another way to do it. Okay, guys, let's keep rolling here. So listen now to this part 3. I will play the audio. And in this case, again, just listen and visualize. So don't answer questions yet. All I want you to do is listen first and try to understand as much as possible. This is what you should do at home, okay? Don't answer the first time that you're listening. Just listen. Don't take notes, okay? Don't answer. Just listen. So let's play the audio and just listen and visualize.
Turn to section 3. Take some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Listening section 3. You will hear 3 students organizing a class project. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
I just got an email from the professor saying the due date for our European History group project has been pushed back to Monday.
Great. That means we'll have the weekend to work on it.
I suppose that's good news, but I don't really want to do any homework on my weekend. I had planned to go away with my girlfriend for some relaxation this weekend.
I suppose that's understandable. Maybe we should just have it done by Friday, the original due date. That gives us today and Thursday to finish it.
We can do that, I think. I'm available tomorrow. How about we spend today planning it, assign tasks to take home with us and do tonight, and then meet tomorrow and put it all together? Does that sound right?
That works for me.
That doesn't work too well for me. My afternoon is very busy. I guess I'll just have to burn the midnight oil tonight.
What has you so tied up, Evan?
I have a basketball game after school today, and then my favourite football team plays this evening at 7. It's okay though. I'll get the work done. Let's get started on the planning.
Alright, so we have to come up with a 3-panel poster about a topic in European history. I already bought the material for the poster, so we don't have to worry about that.
How much was it?
It was £3.
Okay, we'll each give you £1 for the poster board.
No, don't worry about it. My dad paid for it anyway.
Sounds good to me.
Right then, since there's 3 of us, my idea was that 2 of us could take care of the writing part of the project, while 1 of us could look after the artwork, making the poster look smart.
I'll do the artwork. I think I'm a pretty good artist.
I'll be happy to do half the writing. What topics are we going to choose?
Well, the professor said the topic has to be an event that took place somewhere between 1400 and 1800, so we can't do either of the world wars.
That's too bad. My dad is an expert on the Second World War, and he could have helped me with my part. What are we going to do instead?
You now have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen to the rest of the discussion and answer questions 27 to 30.
I was reading my textbook the other day and I read some really interesting information on the French Revolution.
That's a really good idea.
I know. How about instead of doing a summary of the French Revolution, we write about some of the people involved instead?
Oh, I like that idea. So who are some of the important people?
Well, there's the King, Louis XVI.
Robespierre was important, I think.
Yes, he was. And of course, Napoleon Bonaparte.
We should have 4 people, so you can each write about 2 people.
How about Marie Antoinette?
Okay, so we have 4 historical figures. Each of you are going to write about 2. Now we have to decide how much we're going to write. Remember, we have to fill up a 3-board poster.
That's a good point about the 3-board poster. Maybe we should do a 5th person, then we can have 2 figures on each side with 1 in the middle.
Good idea. We can make the middle one really important. We'll make that one Napoleon. As for a 5th person, how about Voltaire?
Good. So how about I do the important one on Napoleon and a smaller one on Robespierre?
Okay, and I'll do the other 3.
How long should each topic be?
I'd say 200 words each for the small ones and 450 for the big one on Napoleon.
I think that sounds about right. What do you think about meeting up later on?
That is the end of section 3. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
Okay, great. So that is listening section 3. Now, quick question. What did you see? So what did you see when you listened to this audio? So what was visualized in your mind as you were listening to this? And even before I ask you that question, more importantly, who were you? Okay, so who were you when you were visualizing this listening? So when you saw this happen in your mind, who were you? It's a very important question. It's very, very important that you practice visualization well, and this is key to good visualization. So who were you during this listening? So you're listening to this. Who are you? So Hike says you're a teacher. Yeah, that's not bad. It's third person, so you're a little bit distant. Sunny says one of the students. Sandeep says the male character. Good. Yeah, if you're a guy, you were maybe the male character, and if you're a girl, hopefully you were one of the female characters, okay? So Nari says, I was one of the students who was writing down some notes about this discussion. That's great. Yeah, so a good answer here is one of the students. Okay, and what did you see? As you were a student, what did you actually see? So what did you see yourself doing? That's the second question here, right? What were you doing? So this should be clear. This is the way to get good marks. This is the way that you increase your active listening skills. So what were you actually doing? And try to be specific. So you're doing a project, a group work, you're getting the others' emails, you're working on a computer. Yeah, that's a good answer. You maybe have a laptop open and you're taking some notes during the discussion about the information that you're discussing. So you're writing this down. Okay, that's a good visualization. Then your brain is holding on to this information. So you're writing notes. You're looking at a guide from the teacher. You're looking at some findings. You're actually making the poster. Yeah, that's good, Pablo. Even though the students are probably not doing that now, it's still a very good visualization where you can actually see this poster and you're putting together the different pieces of information because they describe it in a lot of detail. So if you see yourself making the poster, that's a good idea. So making the poster and taking notes. Great. Yeah, so whoever is doing this, whoever's visualizing while you're listening and you're seeing yourself as a student, you're seeing yourself maybe in a small meeting room or in somebody's living room or bedroom, and you are writing down notes and you're building this poster. If you're seeing that while you're listening, you're on the right track for training your brain to listen actively and to catch information, okay? Planning and scheduling is an excellent visualization. Or scheduling was something that I was thinking of as well. So that's great. Okay, now let's listen again, and this time let's answer the questions, okay? So now answer as you listen. Do your best, answer the questions, pay attention to what the question is asking you. If it's asking you for one word or two words, answer the questions, and then we'll go through the answer key and see how many you get correct. Again, you can see the questions in the stream description, okay? So the stream description has the questions. Look at that. Answer as you listen. So one more time. Answer as you listen.
Now turn to section 3. Take some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Listening section 3. You will hear 3 students organizing a class project. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
I just got an email from the professor saying the due date for our European history group project has been pushed back to Monday.
Great. That means we'll have the weekend to work on it.
I suppose that's good news, but I don't really want to do any homework on my weekend. I had planned to go away with my girlfriend for some relaxation this weekend.
I suppose that's understandable. Maybe we should just have it done by Friday, the original due date. That gives us today and Thursday to finish it.
We can do that, I think. I'm available tomorrow. How about we spend today planning it, assign tasks to take home with us and do tonight, and then meet tomorrow and put it all together? Does that sound right?
That works for me.
That doesn't work too well for me. My afternoon is very busy. I guess I'll just have to burn the midnight oil tonight.
What has you so tied up, Evan?
I have a basketball game after school today, and then my favourite football team plays this evening at 7. It's okay though. I'll get the work done. Let's get started on the planning.
All right. So we have to come up with a 3-panel poster about a topic in European history. I already bought the material for the poster, so we don't have to worry about that.
How much was it?
It was £3.
Okay, we'll each give you £1 for the poster board.
No, don't worry about it. My dad paid for it anyway.
Sounds good to me.
Right then, since there's 3 of us, my idea was that 2 of us could take care of the writing part of the project, while 1 of us could look after the artwork, making the poster look smart.
I'll do the artwork. I think I'm a pretty good artist.
I'll be happy to do half the writing. What topics are we going to choose?
Well, the professor said the topic has to be an event that took place somewhere between 1400 and 1800, so we can't do either of the world wars.
That's too bad. My dad is an expert on the Second World War, and he could have helped me with my part. What are we going to do instead?
You now have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen to the rest of the discussion and answer questions 27 to 30.
I was reading my textbook the other day and I read some really interesting information on the French Revolution.
That's a really good idea.
I know. How about instead of doing a summary of the French Revolution, we write about some of the people involved instead?
Oh, I like that idea. So who are some of the important people?
Well, there's the King, Louis XVI.
Robespierre was important, I think.
Yes, he was. And of course, Napoleon Bonaparte.
We should have 4 people, so you can each write about 2 people.
How about Marie Antoinette?
Okay, so we have 4 historical figures. Each of you are going to write about 2. Now we have to decide how much we're going to write. Remember, we have to fill up a 3-board poster.
That's a good point about the 3-board poster. Maybe we should do a 5th person, then we can have 2 figures on each side with 1 in the middle.
Good idea. We can make the middle one really important. We'll make that one Napoleon. As for 5th person, how about Voltaire?
Good. So how about I do the important one on Napoleon and a smaller one on Robespierre?
Okay, and I'll do the other 3.
How long should each topic be?
I'd say 200 words each for the small ones and 450 for the big one on Napoleon.
I think that sounds about right. What do you think about meeting up later on?
That is the end of section 3. You will now have half a minute to check your...
Okay, so that is listening section 3, and hopefully you were able to catch most of those answers. So let's look at these questions and answers and discover why they're the correct answers and what is happening in the listening to get the correct answers. All right, so the first question here for 21 is, what day of the week does the discussion take place? Was anybody able to catch that? So what day of the week was this discussion happening? And you have to be patient here. So Sunny says Wednesday, AJ says Tuesday, Biblov says Monday, Adnan says Wednesday. Why is it Wednesday, guys? So so Wednesday is the correct answer. Why is it Wednesday? How do we know that it's Wednesday? The answer is definitely Wednesday, guys, not Monday. Why is it Wednesday? Yeah, that's right, Adnan. They say we have today and Thursday to complete the project. So we can infer that today is Wednesday, okay? So they even say tomorrow, Thursday. So we know that today has to be Wednesday. They say we have today and tomorrow, Thursday, to complete the project. So the answer has to be Wednesday, okay? That's the correct answer. It's one word. That's correct, okay? Now, if I write it like this, is this correct with a small w? I saw a couple of you giving that as the answer. So you gave Wednesday, but you gave it with a small w. Yeah, it's wrong, guys. Days of the week in English, it's a proper noun, so it has to be a capital letter, okay? So the correct answer is Wednesday, spelt with a big W. Be very careful with this. You can lose some really easy marks if you misspell the days of the week, or if it's months of the year. You need to be very careful. They're capital letters. So Wednesday like that is correct, or as we talked about before, if you use all capital letters, that is also correct. So this is the safest way. Just be really careful about the spelling if you use all uppercase. So this is correct, this one is wrong, okay? So be very, very, very careful with that. The side effect of using all capital letters is it's easier to make spelling mistakes and it takes more space. So careful with that. Usually the answers don't need a preposition, Adnan, but if it does, so if the answer does need a preposition and you don't have the correct preposition, then it will be wrong, yeah. But in most situations, for most exams, you won't really need to use prepositions. If there are prepositions, they're usually very clear, like before or after or above or under. Usually you don't have to use prepositions like of or to or at, which is confusing and difficult. But you definitely need to have the correct preposition if it's a part of the answer. So yes, you do. Okay. All right, let's go on to the next question here. So let's go on to question number 22. So today, what is the goal for the project? So did anybody get the answer for number 22? So Sunny says they're analyzing the project. Pablo, very good. Pablo says planning the project. So how about we spend today planning it? So planning is the correct answer. That's what the person says. How about we spend today planning it, assign tasks to take home with us and do tonight, which is still the same, and then meet tomorrow and put it all together. So planning is the correct answer. So if any of you got planning, then you had the correct answer. If I do it like this, is that correct? If I have a capital for planning, is that correct, like that? With a big P? So Max says no, Pradeep says yes. Adnan says no, Pro says no, AJ says no, Nari says yes. So there are some mixed opinions here. Yeah, this would be correct, okay? So improper nouns, when it's a one word and you put planning in there, it will be correct, okay? The other way, it's wrong if you use a small letter for a name, but if you use a big letter in this case, you will get that one correct. Okay, again, the safest way to play it is just use all capitals. Okay, so all three of those would be correct for the IELTS markers. Okay, all right, let's go on to number 23. So 23, putting together the project. So when will they do that? So when are they going to put the project together? So number 23, when are they putting the project together? Okay, we have one answer up there that I saw. Max says Thursday. In this case, you definitely need a capital Thursday. Any other correct answer? Pablo says tomorrow. Yeah, both answers are correct. Okay, so if you said Thursday, you will get that point. If you say tomorrow, you will get that point. In this situation, they are perfect synonyms for each other. Both of these answers are correct. So pay attention in IELTS. Sometimes you have a chance for multiple answers, so don't be shy. Don't leave any blanks, okay? If you got Thursday, that's fine. If you remembered, I think it was something about tomorrow, and you put tomorrow, you will get both of those, okay? So don't put both, just one, okay? Either Thursday or tomorrow, okay? It's a one-word answer, so you cannot put both words. Choose only one of these two words and answer only one of these two words. Thursday will be correct or tomorrow will be correct. If you say tomorrow, Thursday, it will be wrong. Why? Because the question says one word only, okay? So Thursday or tomorrow is correct. And that's very, very quick in the listening. It comes in the same sentence as question 22. So they say, and then meet tomorrow and put it all together. So that's the answer there. All right, 24. Anybody get the answer for question number 24? 24 says, who paid the cost of the poster? So somebody says one of the women. And then somebody says B, it's one of the women's fathers. Yeah, absolutely. The correct answer here is B. Why is it B? Why is the answer B? B is correct. A is wrong. Okay? A is wrong. Why is B correct? Yeah, Sunny says in the audio, it said, my dad paid for it. Yeah, remember, there's that part where the two students say, do you want us to give you money for the poster? And then the girl says, no, it's okay. My dad paid for it anyway, so you don't need to give me money. In this situation, in this example, you have to be patient. Okay, be very careful about this. If for part 3 and 4 in the listening, sometimes you need to really be patient for the correct answer to come. So if you're answering this one quickly, it's easy to choose A. If you're a little bit more patient and wait for the woman to actually say, no, you don't need to pay me back, my dad paid for it anyway, then you get the correct answer. So in listening section, sections, especially 3 and 4, okay? So 3 and 4, you must be patient for some answers. So when you answer the question, don't give up on the listening because you might need to change it. And again, this is something you have to practice at home, okay? Practice the timing of the answers in the listening. Sometimes the answers are coming quickly, one after the next, within 2-3 seconds. And sometimes you have to wait 10, 20, 30 seconds for the next answer to come, okay? So patience is very important, okay? So patience is very, very important in sections 3 and 4 of the listening, okay? Students who are trying to answer quickly will often miss these marks. So pay attention, be patient, and practice this kind of timing at home. All right, question number 25. So that question is asking you, the topic must be an event that occurred sometime between the years. So we have 2 blanks here. So you need to get both of them correct in order to pick up the mark. If only one is correct, then you will not get it correct. So 1400 and 1800 are the correct answers. Make sure to use numbers, okay? Do not write words, all right? Don't write the words, okay? So use the numbers. Now, there's a clue in this listening for this date. So what was the clue? What was the clue that the answer is 1400 and 1800? The man says something that gives you a clue that this is the correct time, 1400 and 1800. Anybody remember what they talk about that gives you the clue? Yeah, so they say they can't talk about the two world wars because those happened in the 1900s. It has to be an older event. So it has to be something that happened before the world wars. So we know that it's before the 1900s. So that way we definitely can infer or guess that it has to be one of the numbers 1800. So 1400 to 1800 is the correct answer for 25. Okay, again, you can find more on this in the transcripts. Number 25, or sorry, this was number 26. What topic would the male student like to write on but cannot due to assignment restrictions? So what's the answer for 26? And here's a good question for you. What's the easiest answer here? It's no more than 3 words. Remember, the question is asking you. So Second World War is okay. So Second World War will get you the correct mark as long as you spell it correctly. What's an easier answer than this one? Can somebody give me the easier answer than Second World War? By the way, if you write it small, Pablo, like this, this is wrong. Because World War II or Second World War is the name of the war. So that would be wrong, okay? It has to be capital. World War II, as Max just showed, is okay. But your first one, Max, is even better. So just like this, okay? World War II is a correct answer, all right? If you know that this is how we show World War II, big W, and then the Roman 2, or the number 2 is okay as well, okay? So that will also be correct. These are the easiest answers for this one, okay? So again, practice this at home. Practice choosing easy answers so that when you're in the IELTS exam, you're not losing marks on silly little mistakes, okay? So World War II or World War II, like that, are the easiest. It has to be capitals. Pradeep, it has to be big W's, okay? Small W's, wrong answer, all right? It has to be capitals. Okay, so now let's look at the matching questions with the historical figures. The first one here, 27, Robespierre. Where is Robespierre going to go? Is it A, B, or C? So we're looking at the matching questions here. So let's match these up. This is 27 to 30, so the last 4 questions. And here is where visualization is extremely important. So when you're listening to this topic and seeing what the students are talking about, visualization will be the key to getting these correct. So Robespierre, where is Robespierre going? Is he going on the sides, in the middle, or not in the poster? Okay, all of you who are saying A are correct. Okay, Robespierre will be going on the side of the poster. How do we know that? And there should be something here that gives you a very easy mark if you listen carefully. So how do we know that Robespierre is going on the side of the poster? Why do we know that he's going on the side? Okay, why do we know that he's going on the side? Because he's one of the famous people, and who goes in the center? Who goes in the center of this poster? Who goes? Napoleon. That's right. Napoleon goes into the center. So because we know that Napoleon is going into the center of the board, we know that none of the other three can be in the center. Only one important person in the center of the poster, and that has to be Napoleon, right? So Robespierre will be going to the side of the poster. How about 28? Okay, where is Rousseau going? Where's Rousseau going in the poster? He's going on the side, in the middle, or not included? Yeah, so he's not included. How do we know? How do we know that Rousseau is not included? Yep, C is correct, guys. Why do we know that he's not included? Why? Yeah, keep it simple. We didn't talk about him, okay? So we didn't hear that name. That name is not mentioned, so don't confuse yourself. IELTS doesn't try to trick the student, okay? They try to keep it simple. So if you don't hear the name in this situation, then definitely they're not going to be on this poster. They're not mentioned, okay? All right, 29, Louis the 16. So Louis the 16, 29. What's the correct answer? Side, middle, or not mentioned? So some of you are saying the side. Okay, all of you are saying the side. Are you sure you heard information about Louis the 16? Let me see. So let's see what we have in the transcripts. Honestly, I can't remember information about him, so I might go with not included, but let's see what we hear about this one. So Evan says, I like that idea. So who are some of the important people? And Megan says, well, there's the king, Louis the 16. And then Anna says Robespierre. And then Evan says Napoleon Bonaparte. And Evan says Marie Antoinette. So definitely included as one of the four people. A is correct. Okay, and again, the question tells you you can use a letter more than once. So A is correct. Louis the 16 is the king. He is going on the side of the poster because Napoleon is the only one that goes into the center of the poster. All right, number 30. Everybody should get this question correct. What's the answer for question 30? He's going into the center of the poster, so B is the correct answer here. Okay, so correct answers for these is A, C, A, and B. Hopefully you did a good job there. You got these correct. If not, listen again, see what happened, see where your mistakes are. And if you're still having trouble, if you're like, I just don't know where these answers are coming from, then look at the transcripts, okay? Look at the script for the listening. That's your final step, all right? Okay, if I don't remember anything, so if I don't remember any of these people, I was looking at another student who was taking the exam, or I was looking at an interesting poster on the wall. What should I do, okay, for these questions? So 27, 28, 29, 30. What should I do if I have no idea? It was difficult for me. I couldn't visualize it. I couldn't catch the names. What should I do? Nari says guess. Yeah, so Nari says guess, and Nari is correct. You guess. Okay, what's a good way to guess here? So what should you guess? If you're guessing, you're stuck, you have no other choices, you need to guess. What do you need to guess? Okay, Sunny says write the same answer for all questions. And Hadil says use logic. I say do both, okay? So do both of them. Write the same answer and use logic. What is the best choice that I can answer all the same for? So should I answer A? Should I answer B? Or should I answer C? What should be my best choice? What's my best chance to get some marks here? I missed the information. I couldn't catch it. And I want to have the best chance. Abacadabra is not... Okay, Nora says should be all A's. Okay. Yeah, Nari, very good, because it covers both sides of the poster, right? So A is the best guess. Okay? Hopefully you don't have to do this. So of course, in a perfect world, you understand everything, you answer everything correct. But A is the best possible answer that you can give if you're guessing. Okay? Why? Because it's two sides of a poster, not just one. So you have twice the chance of at least getting something correct. And you need A because there's a good chance that at least one of these answers, if not more, will be correct. In this case, you would get 2 correct from 4, which is 50%. It's okay. So you would do okay with A here. You would get 27 and you would get 29 correct, okay? So don't panic. Don't stress. If you missed it, whatever, water under the bridge. Just do your best. Don't leave blanks, okay? Do not leave blanks. It's very important. No blanks, okay? No blank answers. If you leave a blank, it's definitely wrong. If you guess and it's wrong, that's okay. You don't get minus points for guessing wrong, all right? Okay, so that's it for section 3 of the listening, and that's it for today's lesson. Again, these lessons are coming from aehelp.com for academic IELTS, gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. Use vocab 20 for a 20% discount. You get all 6 of the practice exams. It's cheaper than the Cambridge books. In many ways, it's better than the Cambridge books because we give audio for the reading and the speaking as well. Plus, you get 40 videos. You get a full interactive course with quizzes. You get a lot of strategies that are effective. So make sure you go there. You can get all of the listening audio as well to practice this again. That's great, Ankit. Make sure you use it. There is a 30-day and a 60-day study plan in the course. So follow that study plan, Ankit. If you have 3 months before the IELTS, then choose the 60-day study plan in the course and follow it. It will tell you do this part of the course first with this exam and with this video, with this quiz, and then just follow that step by step and your grades and your marks will improve. I will do one more class this week tomorrow, guys. So I see AJ McCock asking me, when am I coming again? I will be here tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to cover some grammar with you, okay? And I'll probably switch to a writing topic just for some interest, and then we'll do reading next week. So it was awesome teaching all of you today. Thank you for watching. Again, visit us at aehelp.com or gieltshelp.com. Use Super Chat, guys. When you donate money with the Super Chat button, just $1 or $2 or $5, $10, whatever you can. It's beside the emoji. Not all countries have that. We use that money for new things like new microphones, new speakers. So have a great night if you're going to sleep. If your day is just starting, then have a great day or a great afternoon. Again, thanks for watching. It was my pleasure to teach all of you. I hope you learned some important information. Same time tomorrow, Sunny. Have a good night, guys. Thank you again, and we'll see you tomorrow. Okay, goodbye for now.